Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all please leave a like or comment on my video and consider subscribing to my channel. So let's get into the patch notes and then I will get on to the rest of the video. So number one, search for contracts is no longer case sensitive. Fix the wrong elite enemy configuration in For Patriotism and School of Applied Knowledge terrorist attack. Added the option to delete characters, optimized other language functions for customer service. They fixed the problem that the distances of encounter missions was incorrectly displayed. This is the second time they have that one on the bottom, so obviously they're still having fixed problems. So let's get into the discussion. This week is a very small patch note, and I don't blame them for the small patch note. They've had a really terrible week. So let's talk about everything overall within the game, from where it is right now and where it looks like the game is heading. So number one, the game has a rating below 3.7 on the Google Play Store app, and it has a lot of updates that have been coming in that are very controversial with its gaming audience. So let's talk about everything in relation to other games. So let's first rate this game as I would rate it if I rated it as a person, right? In terms of graphics, it has fantastic graphics. However, due to the size of the download, I'm not going to give it the maximum score for its graphics. Its graphics don't play well on the phones. If you leave it at maximum, you get stutter and lag within your gameplay at maximum graphics. So I am actually going to rate it at 2.5. 2.5 being a very generous rating on the graphics. 2 would be a straightforward rating for its graphics. Its high graphic content is really good. It has a problem with combat. It has a problem with travel. It has a problem where it is a massive game. So yes, it is massive compared to other games of its class, and it does have a lot of problems within its aspect of fighting and gameplay. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a poor rating for its graphics because of that. I'm not one of those players who's like, oh wow, it looks like it's super bright, it's super crystal clear, I can see every detail. Yeah, I'm gonna give this your maximum ratings. No, I'm gonna judge it on everything that it has overall. So graphics, I'd give it 2. Then let's see, controls. I will give it a 3 on the controls. Actually, that is a fair rating on its control system. You only have 2 options when it comes to actually controlling your ship, align or orbit. It's really terrible for the ships. There's no free flow, there's no free control of your ship. You can't align it how you want to align it. You can't change its direction, there's no way to do it. So yeah, poor movement. It has the same maneuverability as a game of 140 megabytes for a game of 2 gigs in size. That's poor controls on its side. So yeah, that's why I'm only giving it a 3 on its controls. The reason why I'm not giving it lower on controls is the controls do work, and you do experience some lag in your controls. You do even experience some glitches when it comes to controls. So yeah, I would have rated it lower possibly if I experienced more problems. Then let's get on to the next thing, gameplay and user-friendly interface. Oof, gameplay. The gameplay is fantastic in terms of a community base. So yeah, community would get a 5. But on the solo side, I will give it a 1. So 5 plus 1 is 6, divided by 2, it's 3. And then is the small fleeting option. I'd give it another 3 in the fleeting option. So it would have been 6. So basically another 3 in its overall rating for gameplay and community. So why would I give it such a low gameplay and community rating? Well, number one, the community activities require large numbers of players. They aren't 2 and 3 man activities. They don't allow you to get along in small groups, and things are very time consuming. They're very agitating. They're very difficult and very risky. So yes, there is one of the reasons why it's getting that low community base rating from me. Now let's move on to the next aspect of the game. This is one of the worst aspects of the game, and that is content. Now, gaming content, let's see, mining is slow. It's almost a very hard skill to learn. It takes long to master. There's a whole lot of other things to go with industry. They don't balance it out very well. Game balance isn't there. So overall in content, I will rate the game as a 0. Yeah, I literally said I'll rate it as a 0 for content. Now, why would I rate it 0? Well, number one, it pays out low. Gaming activities are ridiculously long and pulled out for even the easiest of activities. Payouts from the game are reduced, rewards are reduced within the game, so there's another one. Any good and completable task for good gains is purely luck based and is a massive amount of grinding. So things like Dead Space take a very long time to get, so another reason why I'm giving it a low rating. And I'm not just giving it a low rating of 1, I'm giving it 0. That's because any activity within a mobile platform that takes more than 4 hours to get a good reward is not worth it. If it takes more than 4 hours, I will give it a 0. And that's how I rate it for mobile platform. If this was a PC platform, it still would have a 3 or 4 day leeway on that time. If it was console, I'd give it a 24-hour ratio. And depending on how often the hardcore events spawn, that's how I would rate it. So considering that you can rat in an area for hours and hours on a time, there's no differentiation between high power and low power. I'm going to give it a 0 on that there because there's no differentiation. I'm still explaining my content. Ratting through activities can take hours and hours without any good pay rewards. And when I say good pay rewards, I mean something worth 100 to 200 million, maybe a billion. They've reduced their ability to get 4 and 5 billion out of the game, so they're going to get a lower rating overall because of that. I'm going to give them a 0 for content. So let's see, the next thing which comes out after content is going to be mining. Mining is slow. Condensed belts are rare and fickle spawn. They don't spawn all the time. So yeah, another one that's going to receive a 0 for me. I could mine in an area for a whole month and never see a condensed belt. So yeah, there you go, another 0 for another piece of the content. High-end content not showing up is a very bad thing. It should at least show up once a day for every single sector. Let's go on to the next thing. When it comes to PvP, they don't have a real PvP, they have a gank mechanic game. So a 0 for PvP. There's no true arena play, there's no true fighting play, there's no true one-on-one play or team versus team play. It's literally war or gank. So I am giving it a 0 for PvP. So no PvP, no PvE, no it's 2 PvE activities that I gave it 0s for. So 0 overall for content, no real pure gameplay. And that is it. That is what the game is. There's no real content. Everything is just surrounded by 2 activities that are ridiculously difficult. If you want to count missions as your rewards, the mission difficulties have been raised severely. You have to do them in teams, and to grind out the missions can take days at a time. Once more, the whole thing about rare spawns, it's just as difficult as getting a Dead Space to spawn for you. So yeah, once more, a 0 for the activity. So they received so many 0s from me just because of that poor rating and how they set up the game. They wanted to go to PC for a mobile game, and they will get a 0 for the content. And that is where the rating goes down for me. It most probably will make it one of the most poor ratings they'd ever receive. So it would be 3 plus 3 plus 2. 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1. I might be making a mistake on one of the ratings. I think I gave them 2 2s. So that would be 10 divided by 5. So an overall rating of 2 for the game. That's what I would rate this game if someone asked me to rate it on the store. And that isn't a good thing. They could be way better. Previously, when the activities were easier and everything was there, I think I would have rated it at a 4. And that was only on the community content. Everything else would still get the low ratings from me because of the size of the game. It is something that plays a big part of it, because if the game is small, like 140 megabytes, I can play 10 games in the place of this game. And 10 games, do they make up for that time play? Do they make up for that rating? Yes, they do. They generally have that 4.2, 4.3 ratings. Considering its size, it is really poorly based. And let me compare it with something that isn't even in the same class. Let's go Raid. Raid is an easy game to play. You jump in, you play with it, you sign in with your Plarium account, you sign in with your Facebook account, and there you go. You have a fantastic, easy game to play, and you're into the ratings, you're into the game. There's no difficult learning curve. There's no supreme difficulty in it. You just have to basically listen to that beginning tutorial, and you understand how the game works. Then let's talk about Star Trek Fleet Command. Star Trek Fleet Command is a little bit difficult. It's a 4 rating and above game as well. Fantastic game. Fantastic play for its size. It's 140, it's under 200 megabytes in size for its original download. Additional content isn't too large. There you go, another fantastic game. Then let's even go with another game that I played, Ark of War. In comparison to where this game is right now, it's 140 or 150 megabyte download. So yeah, it's also a very small game. It has a wider range of play. It has security, it has difficulty, it has PvP, PvE, it has multiple formats of gameplay. This game doesn't have, and that's the problem. It's a high impact game with a low impact system that doesn't really hold well for it. There's even other games that I've played that are really, really old. What is the other one? Total Domination has a 4.0. It's a Plarium game from 2010. It still has a 4.0 or higher rating. That tells you that they made a good game. And this game isn't going to hold the test of time. They need to improve it. They need to get a bigger audience. They need more people to rate it. And at the rate they're going, they're just going to get people rating it 2 and people rating it 1 and people rating it 0. And that's where this game is going to stay. Remember, for the size of the game, you have to judge it very, very harshly. If it was 140 megabytes or 200 megabytes, I most probably would rate it a lot less harsh. And considering its gameplay time, it will still receive that same rating from me regardless of whether it was a small or big game. It's way too time consuming. Is it addictive? No, it isn't. It's actually infuriating for a game, and there is another problem within it. I hope that you all do enjoy that little rating that I've given it and the comparisons that I've given it. Now let's just do a quick comparison on how I would rate Star Trek Fleet Command. In terms of PvP, it also doesn't have a real PvP system. You count on the gank mechanic and you count on the confrontation mechanic. So it will get a 1 for PvP. In terms of activities like mining and your PvE general activities, I'd give it a 4. So yes, it will get a massive rating from me purely because of the size of the game. So a 4 for its PvE content. For the sense of its community, I will give it a 5. It is good enough for the game platform to have the community that it has. It's very simple to play. There's not really that hard of a learning curve. For taking on ratting, you don't really have ratting. You have confrontations with the sector police. You just jump into the sectors, you defeat them, and that's how you level up quickly. So yeah, I would give it another, let's see, 4.5 for PvE activities. Mining, it's also a curve up, but it's not as difficult as this game. So yeah, there you go. Gank mechanic, the gank mechanic is in an area. You can always evade guys when you know they jump into an area. It's very simple, unlike this game where it's a menu that you have to open up to figure out if someone jumped in who you don't like, where you can view the entire area you in Star Trek Fleet Command. So yeah, it's a different story. Let's see the next thing. Moving through sectors, gank mechanics, graphics within the game. Considering how small it is, it's going to receive 4.8 from me. Overall content 4.8. It isn't too super time consuming. It doesn't hold you in the game for hours and hours at a time. You can offline play, you can online play. It doesn't really make much of a difference. You can't do that with Eve. You have to online play, otherwise you lose a vessel. Replacing of vessels, there's security and there's insurance, so not a big problem. There you go. You see, those small things made the difference in the gameplay 4, 4.5, 4.8. You heard how I'm rating it, and that's purely because it's easier to play, it's more user friendly, its community is easier to access. You can play in small or large groups. You don't have to play as a large group. You don't have to coordinate very well for Star Trek Fleet Command. You can coordinate very well and become really, really dangerous. You can use your basic knowledge within the game. It's very easy to get a control standard. You can approach players, you can orbit players. It's a 2D map, not a 3D map like Eve. I understand it's a big difference. And there you go, simple mechanics, very well issued, very nice systems, very easy to play. That's why it's so much better, and that's why so many players will prefer this game. So many players will prefer that game over this game. That's why that game is rated 4.0 or higher, and this game is rated 3.7 and below. And as more players feel more ready to do their rating, like once Sovereignty drops, I'm judging by the way a lot of players are going, that it's going to get another 3.5 or a 3.4. It's going to start downgrading even more, because I don't think that they're thinking through all of their content. So that is where I see this game heading. It is a projection from my own observation within the game, and it is my projection based on what I've been reading in the comments for the game reviews. So yeah, it's a good game, but it really doesn't have anything there. It's too time consuming, too difficult, not really worthy of the mobile format. So thank you all for watching. Have a good day.